whole thing started when I was a kid, looking up at the night sky, staring at the billions of stars, thinking to myself, our sun was just one of those billions, and there must be so much more life out there. I would dream about it, and I read all the books I could find, and I watched all the movies and TV shows about space and aliens and UFOs. And then I started searching the internet, and I was amazed at all the information I found, and I went down all those different rabbit holes. I learned that there were prehistoric cave paintings from all over the world of alien beings and what looked like spaceships. I saw how there were advanced structures in places like Pumapunku that were carved with laser precision.
Dreamland, are aliens real? It's the question that so many of us continue to contemplate each and every day. And we express that contemplation through discussions we have amongst ourselves, through films, through documentaries such as this one, through news reels, through journalism. But none of that really will ever still give us the definitive answer. So that contemplation continues. And in the form of this documentary, it continues in a very humorous and lighthearted way. It has definitely echoes of a mockumentary kind of style to it, as well as we're not sure how much is what is real and what is fiction, but it entertains nonetheless, and gives us some interesting information about the history of UFOs in the United States.
A very funny documentary. I think that they did a good job of setting up high stakes well at the beginning in terms of both Brian's, what he had put into it financially and emotionally, and also in terms of the danger of actually storming Area 51 and what that could bring. I think that there was great comedic relief in bouncing back and forth between this being a serious documentary and the interviews that they did and bringing in the information with Bob Lazar, as opposed to this just being a documentation of what went down this weekend and moments like Natasha eating corn out of a can. Like, I found that to be particularly funny. I think that having the two sort of like surprise guests also brought a lot of comedic relief, Andy and Natasha, who ended up being there and didn't really expect to be. And I think overall for me, that's what really brought it together, was how this group of people who sort of seemed like a ragtag type of group really enjoyed one another's company and ended up coming together in the end to make this film and work as a team, and it seemed like have a really good time.
I loved this. I was thoroughly entertained the entire time. I thought the level of commitment was really, really impressive. I liked the pace of it and how they kind of cut everything together. Between like the kind of like initial introduction and then as they were going through, in the beginning it was like they had some interviews peppered in and you kind of were like waiting to see like where that would link back up again, but then the kind of like journey of them getting all the way out there, but also this like kind of like news and the situation around kind of like why they were going in the first place and what the origins of this kind of storming Area 51 were, and everything like that. I really liked how they put it together. I really liked like the build and the pace of it. I thought it moved really well. I thought it paced really well. Like I said, I was thoroughly entertained the whole entire time. I thought it was really well done. I thought it was really entertaining is the only word I can come up with, but I would definitely watch this again.
I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was great. Just a few things about it that I loved. First of all, Brian Moreno is hilarious, but also I'm so fascinated by what he's fascinated by, if that makes sense. And I've never really been into UFOs or aliens or Area 51 or any of this stuff, but I was completely compelled. Sat literally on the edge of my seat, just like going like this, going like, what's going to happen? Like, he really built a story that I wanted to know more, constantly wanted to know more. I also loved all the characters that are in his life that he brought along on this journey. And I also, like, I think toward the end of the movie, I would say the last like 25% of the movie, just all the interviews. Bob Lazar, just like all the interviews that he showed, and also all the interviews that he conducted himself. All fascinating, all amazing. You know, I really enjoyed this documentary. I loved the locations they chose to shoot in, the questions that they asked people, which helped them open up and talk more and more about their experiences and their beliefs. Just very well done, very well edited. Really created an arc for me to keep wondering and keep watching, and I really loved it. So congratulations, everybody! It's a great film, and I really enjoyed it.
I really like Dreamland. I think it was a really creative idea, executed really well and really clever. Like I've never seen anything like this before, and it was dope. It was very entertaining from start to finish. The idea to do a story about the Area 51 storming and how crazy that was, and to do a story like this, told this way about it, really clever, really creative, and y'all did it really well. So, good job.
Somewhat fictionalized documentary about a failing stand-up comedian who wants to document the raid on Area 51. It was a really light-hearted documentary with some surprisingly touching moments with some of these rural Americans who have experienced UFO sightings and abductions and their interpretation of what they think Area 51 is. It didn't take itself too seriously. There was a really colorful cast of characters surrounding this comedian that were really fun to watch. And although there wasn't much of a solid through line or real main character arc in this story, it was just a really fun escapist sort of story about a bunch of friends who go to the desert looking for something life-changing and just end up realizing that it's more fun to just make the most of a silly weekend with a bunch of weirdos in the desert. So really enjoyed it overall.
The subject matter was really interesting. I thought that they picked such a great event for what had started out on a joke about Facebook about storming Area 51 that turned into the music festival of alien stock. I thought that it was great that they picked that and they took the ball and they ran with it. I think that the entire cast did such a great job. I found myself watching this wondering if it was a documentary or a mockumentary. I kept kind of in the beginning going back and forth trying to decide if it was, as one of the lead actors, Brian, was saying, a serious documentary, or if they were actually doing a mockumentary because of everything that was happening. Picking up their friend Andy and leaving his suitcase at the airport and not telling him the truth about what they were doing. It just kind of also gave the feel that it was a little bit more of a mockumentary rather than a documentary. Having said that, I think that it was exceedingly well done. The pacing of this, what they did with the editing, was spot on. It moved the story along, it moved the plot along. All of the entirety of the cast, everybody did a fantastic job. It was well lit, it was well, all of the audio was coming through. I think that everybody was really interesting who they were interviewing. I loved the Mike Wazowski character that they were that they were interviewing. I thought that he was really interesting, the theorist. So yeah, I thought that they did an amazing job with
The
this.
somewhat anticlimactic quality of what it evolved into was hilarious. As the true stars were, the people that they met along the way. I loved the raw sense of irony throughout. Just that ending monologue of a tearful plea that he hopes he didn't make a stupid movie, which was so fun because there's so much heart to it throughout. You can tell they all loved being together. It's like going on one of these great adventures, or you're planning this big wild party, and it doesn't quite evolve into what you're thinking it would be, but it's almost that much better because it evolves into this brand new offbeat thing that you can say that happened and we experienced that. And just all the oddball characters I thought was lovely, their views on extraterrestrial life. And I think just the camaraderie among all of them was so fun to be around. I would go to any random event that's about to come up with them if they could film that as another little mockumentary. I would be so in to take the ride with them. Yeah, just a really nice sense of playfulness and adapting to what the event really evolved into.